Alright, welcome to Sunday Gist with Olajay.
Thank you.
Can we meet you, ma'am?
Bamfo Blessing Mutual.
Alright, Miss Blessing. Today's discussion will be talking about confrontation and assumption. Confrontation and assumption, and I want you to, can you tell us what does confrontation and assumption mean to you?
Okay. Starting off with assumption. Assumption is a belief you hold on to about a particular situation or person, or based on your personal experiences. While confrontation, on the other hand, is you directly addressing a particular situation that is very challenging, or a person, based on certain information or personal experiences as well. Assumption is actually costly, just as everybody has said and believed. Sometimes it leads to anxiety. It's very wrong for you to assume that because someone is quiet, you guys are friends. Because the person is quiet, you just decided or assume in your own mind that the person is actually angry with you. Or the person doesn't want to talk to you, or the person has actually picked some certain preference over other people. And there is another illustration I would love to use, when actually, like, probably you are with someone and someone came about and look at you from head to toe and just pick out your friends, and your friends on the other hand is actually well dressed. So your own assumption would be that it's because I'm not well dressed, that's why I wasn't picked. But that is actually not the truth. It may be. So assumption can be costly in the sense that it can be accurate, and it can actually be something that is not really the truth. I mean, far-fetched from the truth. So assumption is actually divided into two. We have the healthy one and the unhealthy one. There are some situations whereby, because there's this saying that says, assume for your loved ones so you don't fight often. In the sense that let's say me and my friend now, it's been long we've spoken. So I was actually angry because the person is busy and all of that. Is it because he's attending lectures? That's why the person is not talking to me. But there is also a LD assumption that we can do for that person and say, okay, this person is actually also busy with life just as I am. So it is best understood that I just understand that part and don't go beyond that aspect to actually sustain the relationship. Those are the healthy ones. But you see that one that you need to that will lead to you making negative reaction. Those are the ones that are unhealthy. The likes of the one I mentioned earlier, that because someone didn't pick you, so you might unconsciously start to think less of yourself and even seeing your friend as a threat. So those are the classification of healthy and unhealthy assumption. Confrontation also is not something that we can say to be the solution to every assumption. So it's not every of our assumption that needs to be confronted. The only time assumption can lead to confrontation is when that assumption is going to lead to unhealthy or negative reaction or further prompt negative happenings. So it is best accepted and accepted that you walk up to the person and confront the person and ask, okay, and why asking? You don't come in addressing the person. You go in addressing what the person actually do to you. And that's going to happen in the sense that you say, okay, you hurt me by doing this. Not you've always been hurting me, all of that expression. That is not actually acceptable when it comes to proper and healthy confrontation. You don't just go confronting the person, calling the person names. You actually need clarification and communication.
You see, over times I've heard of people saying assumption is costly, and I want to, why do people avoid confrontation?
Actually, assumption is costly. And confrontation, on the other hand, why we humans we tend to avoid confrontation is based on the fact that we know that we are assuming, we are not so sure of what exactly has taken place. or in the other end, we are trying to like avoid problems, like trying to maintain that particular relationship or rapport that's actually existed between the person and the situation on ground, or you actually trying to break free because you believe every single information that you've heard without actually trying to filter the whole thing. You may avoid confrontation because you really don't have the mind to actually stand before people and get them to talk about the situation, or you in a way that you are the type that don't like further problem solving up from that particular situation. So there are many reasons why people actually avoid confrontation. For me, I avoid confrontation most times based on the fact that the person I'm dealing with, I would love to understand the temperament because I'm actually the type that when I'm pained, I talk actually from pain. So I actually want to take time to process the whole situation before I walk up to you and confront you. So if you are the type that actually you don't like getting to be addressed from a pained tone, so I will know as for me that I'm not supposed to do this now. I would rather do this later or I let go. So that's all I have to say about why people avoid confrontation.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, but I feel like when we assume, maybe probably to clear assumption, we should confront at times. Oh, okay. People avoid. All right, no problem. Have you ever probably assumed, and at the end you feel you are wrong about your assumption?
Of course, as humans, we tend to assume a lot, and I've assumed in a situation whereby after the whole confrontation, everything, I realized that I was very wrong. Okay, there was a time I was trying to reach out to very dear person of mine, like I was trying to call through, like the person actually called back, but the energy was not there. So I was actually assuming that the person has actually, get someone that
Okay.
is free with and talk with, all those. I said, this is someone that we talked about life together. We discussed literally everything pertaining to life. So it was not looking as though the person maybe I found another person. I was like, okay, let's sip up
Well,
from this
okay.
aspect. And I didn't go out to check him back because I'm also like trying to give the excuse that everybody's in their phase of building. So let me build mine and he's also building with another person. So
Okay.
that was my assumption. And that actually cost the relationship for like 3 months. We didn't converse on that particular happiness. So it was later when we got to see when I traveled home and I was not asking, he was very sick and he couldn't stay up online and he has to get himself in some works. And at that point I actually felt bad. The thing is, I didn't come in when I was doing the confrontation. I didn't come in to tell him that. So you abandoned me for a while. I don't want to. I didn't want to do that. Actually, I just like okay. Let me just do it for this sake, for the sake of the old times. So I just say okay. I noticed that there was some gaping hole like between us. What like exactly is going on? I mean, I've tried to reach out and you're not opening. So it was like I couldn't stay on phones and all of that. And me being the type that I don't call, it's not the calling type. So the only way we actually connect is by chatting. So it was very hard for me to see from the other end and him being able to see that I was making effort to get him to like get in touch with him. So it's very wrong of me at that moment to actually approach him and say, so you left me all this why and all of that. So that's I said confrontation is actually to address something directly. I was able to get clarity, but I felt bad because I could have pushed further. Maybe I would have get enough information and reach out in a way that I'll be able to get across to you.
Okay.
So assumption is costly.
All right. Thank you for sharing us your experience. All right. How do you feel confronting others? Like, you feel like, how do you feel whenever you want to confront a person? Probably after hearing information about the person or personal experience, how do you now feel like, okay, how can we confront others?
Actually, the first thing I checked out for is how I feel about the happiness. Is it that I want to protect the relationship, or I'm reacting based on human, reasoning?
Okay.
I would like to check that out first, because if it's actually my emotions that is leading me, if we get to the point of confrontation, I will actually ended up saying things about the person, not addressing the issue. That's one. The second thing I would like to think about are temperament. I will receive the information, process it as well. And if actually I can get to listen to the person when the person is also talking back and accepting it, or I want to hold on to that particular information and try to prove it that that thing is actually right. So it's a lot of things to consider when you want to confront people. So that's one of the things like some of the things I check out for. So if I see that if I should go ahead with this thing, it's going to lead to further negative reactions. Is it that I let go, or I put a pause at that moment and try to check for a suitable time for us to get to think about it. But how I feel about confrontation, most times, this age, we actually run away from confrontation most times. So we all lived on assumption. But the thing I do most time is that if I can't confront you, I confront my paper with my pen. So I let out the whole situation. Then I give myself time. I come back to it. I read it. If I don't feel the pain again, then I let it go. But if the pain still persists, then I'll be have to, whether I feel okay confronting you or not, I have to go ahead with the confrontation. So it's a two-way thing. If I'm doing it to actually prevent something bad from happening, then it is a healthy one. But if I'm trying to prove that assumption right, just to make sure that I feel better by I assumed right, my predictions are right, then that's a very bad way to go about confrontation. Confrontation is good, and sometimes I feel so tired to go ahead with it.
All right. Okay. Now, can you? Yeah. Does it mean that when we assume, we should confront the person? Probably assume instead of keeping assumption. There are some people that when they hear this, they hear this, so they pile up their assumptions to become one, and in fact, they can use their assumptions to start reacting towards the person and not giving the person some kind of attitude. Whenever you see the person, you just kind of pass another way and the person start irritating. Do you feel like, okay, when we assume, when there is a call for assumption, there should be a call for confrontation also?
Actually, it's not in all situation. Just like I said earlier, it's not in all happiness. But if it's going to cost you your peace, then you have to confront. And as I stated earlier, some of the things you have to check out for: the temperament, how you feel about it, the suitable environment. Make sure it's not a third party something. Like you settle the score with the person directly. And another thing about confrontation is that confrontation debunk assumption. Like it helps you to get rid of assumptions. So, and another thing is that for people like that, the first thing I'll tell you is that why are you hurting yourself? Because for someone like me, I devise another means of writing it down. But it's not everybody that is the writing type. So if you know you can't do that, just confront the situation, not the person now. Address the situation, not the person. That's just all I've got to say about it.
Alright, confrontation debunks assumption. Alright, what advice do you have to people in handling assumption? Instead of keeping assumption, whereby we say that okay, assumption is costly. So what advice do you have to people in handling assumption?
Assumption is in a way good, and if you check it from another way, it's not good enough. So assumption is something we can't do without as humans, just as I stated earlier. So what I will say is that let's do well to confront when there is a need. And when do you know that there is a need for confrontation? When it's actually going to cost you your peace, or it's going to affect the relationship at hand, then you have to confront. Confronting, you have to address the situation, not the person. Like you seek for clarification, hearing the other person out, not you trying to prove. So learn how to carry the weight of knowing or learning how to let go and learning how to confront the situation, not the person. I'll say that again, not the person. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am, for accepting our invitation. Okay, viewers, over to you. If you sincerely speaking, today's discussion is very lovely. Why? Because looking at it, assumption and confrontation. Whenever you are confronting, don't address the person, address the issue. Don't confront the person, address the issue, so that you'll be able to get peace together with the person and look at the relationship. Okay, see you again next week. Thank you for watching, and drop your comments in the comment section.